It all began, as these things often do, with something incredibly stupid. My mailbox. The old one got dinged by a snowplow, so I replaced it with a sturdy, handsome model from the hardware store. It was black. It was functional. It was apparently a declaration of war. You see, in the hallowed pages of the Sunnydale Meadows Covenants, Conditions and Restrictions, CC and RS, Section 4, Paragraph B, it states clearly that all mailboxes must be model heritage from approved vendor mailboxes and more, in the color colonial blue. My mailbox was matte black. The first notice arrived on that same linen-textured cardstock that strikes fear into the hearts of suburbanites everywhere. Notice of violation. Case #117C. Dear resident, it has come to our attention that you have installed a non-conforming mailbox. This is a direct violation of community aesthetic standards, which are in place to protect property values and our collective vision of harmonious living. You have 72 hours to replace the offending mailbox with the correct model. A fine of $75 will be levied daily until compliance is achieved. For the board, Brenda Whitmore, HOA President. Now, I'm a reasonable guy. I emailed Brenda, explaining the snowplow situation and politely asking for a variance, pointing out that my black mailbox was, if anything, more tasteful than the cheap, plasticky colonial blue ones. Her response was a masterpiece of bureaucratic condescension. The rules do not make exceptions for taste. They are the rules. Comply or face the financial consequences. We all signed the same documents. So I caved. I spent $120 on the ugliest mailbox you've ever seen and installed it. I thought that was the end of it. Oh, my sweet summer child. I had challenged her authority, and Brenda Whitmore does not forgive. The mailbox was just the opening gambit. The violations started coming in a slow, steady drip, each one more petty than the last. Violation number 201. My grass was 2.5 inches long. The bylaws state a maximum of 2.25 inches. I kid you not. Violation number 219. I left my garbage can at the curb for 45 minutes past 7 p.m. on collection day. The can corral time is strictly enforced. Violation number 234. A single, lonely dandelion was spotted, flagrantly blooming, in my lawn. The notice included a close-up photo of the offending weed, like it was a wanted poster. I was paying fines for living in my own home. I tried to be calm. I paid the fines I couldn't fight, but I started my own campaign. I began documenting everything. I took time-stamped photos of my lawn with a ruler. I photographed my spotless driveway the second I brought the can in. I created a spreadsheet of every fine, every notice, every email. And I started reading the CC and RS. Not just skimming, but studying them like I was prepping for the bar exam. It was a Tuesday. I was working from home on a very important video call when I saw it. A sleek, silver Lexus SUV, Brenda's car, pulled into my driveway. She got out, looked around, and then she opened my garage door with the keypad. My jaw hit the floor. I watched on my security camera feed as she calmly pulled her car into my garage, got out, and closed the door behind her. She had stored the code from when the dog sitter needed access months ago. I ended my call and marched to the garage. Inside, Brenda was dusting off her hands, looking pleased with herself. Brenda, I said, my voice dangerously calm. What are you doing? Oh, hello, she said, without a hint of guilt. The street sweeper is coming today. Bylaw 11D, no street parking on sweeping day. My driveway is being resealed this morning, and I didn't want to get a fine. So you parked in my garage? Without asking. She waved a dismissive hand. Don't be so dramatic. It's just for a few hours. We're all part of the same community, aren't we? It's about being cooperative. She then walked out, past my sputtering form, and headed down the street. I was too stunned to even form a coherent sentence. The entitlement was astronomical. She came back that evening to retrieve her car. She didn't thank me. She didn't even acknowledge it. It was as if she had every right to use my property as her personal parking lot. That was the last straw. The petty fines were one thing. This was a violation of a whole other magnitude. I went back to my copy of the CC and RS, my highlighter in hand. I was no longer looking for defense. I was looking for weapons. And I found them. Brenda Whitmore, guardian of the community's soul, was a hypocrite of epic proportions. Violation. Her own fence was a full foot taller than the regulation 4-foot height. Bylaw 8A. Violation. She had a massive, unapproved satellite dish on the side of her house, clearly visible from the street. Bylaw 15F. The grand prize. She was running a small home-based business. Bylaw 22. Prohibited commercial activity. Selling her hideous, beige-themed LuLaRoe-style leggings. Her garage was stacked with inventory, and she had a constant stream of customers. Guests. Parading through the neighborhood. I had her, but a simple gotcha email wouldn't suffice. I needed a plan that would match the sheer audacity of her actions. And then, fate intervened. My best friend from college was getting married in Hawaii. The trip was 2 weeks long. I had been on the fence about going because of work, but suddenly, the path was clear. A beautiful, devious plan formed in my mind. The day before my flight, I made a show of packing my car. I saw Brenda watching from her window. Perfect. I waited until I knew the street sweeper was scheduled for the next day. And then I sent one email. To HOA Board, Brenda Whitmore. Subject: Extended absence. Hello all. Just a courtesy note to let you know I will be out of the country for the next 2 weeks. Attending a wedding. My home will be unoccupied. Best. My name. I made sure to send it late in the evening. The trap was set. The next morning, right on schedule, I saw Brenda's driveway get coned off for its fictional resealing. And like clockwork, she marched over to my house and typed in the code to my garage. She pulled her precious Lexus in. As soon as the garage door closed, I sprang into action. From inside my house, I pressed the button on the wall console. The garage door locked with a satisfying thump. Then I went to the main unit and pulled the circuit breaker for the entire garage. No power, no opener. I grabbed my bags, got into my rideshare to the airport, and didn't look back. For the next 2 weeks, Brenda's car was my prisoner. I landed in paradise and turned off my phone notifications for everything except family. But I couldn't resist checking the HOA community forum after a few days. It was glorious. The first post from Brenda was polite, but panicked. Has anyone seen my name? It's rather urgent. Then, as the days wore on, her posts became increasingly unraveled. I have a critical community matter to discuss with my name, and he is unreachable. This is highly irresponsible. Does anyone have a spare key for my address? It's a board emergency. The responses were a chorus of no, and that's a huge liability. The other neighbors started to get curious. Why is it such an emergency, Brenda? Someone asked. She couldn't answer without admitting she trespassed and stored her property in my home. The silence was deafening. The community, already simmering with resentment over her petty rule enforcement, began to turn. The forum became a free-for-all, with people airing their own grievances about Brenda's reign of terror. I had my phone filled with frantic voicemails from her, escalating from annoyed to desperate to utterly unhinged. She needed her car for a very important conference. She threatened me with the highest fines ever levied. She even had her husband leave a message implying they'd call the police for theft. I simply emailed the entire board a single sentence. As I am on vacation, I am unable to address any HOA matters at this time. I suggest you take up any urgent issues with President Whitmore directly. I returned home 2 weeks later, tanned, relaxed, and ready for war. As my taxi pulled up, I saw a small crowd had gathered on my driveway. Brenda, her face a thundercloud of rage, her husband, and several curious neighbors. "Where is my car?" she shrieked, bypassing any greeting. I feigned confusion. "Your car? Why would your car be here?" I walked to my front door, taking my sweet time. "You know exactly what you did. You trapped it in there. I have important places to be. You've stolen my vehicle." I unlocked my front door, went inside, and flipped the garage circuit breaker. Then I calmly opened the garage door. There sat her silver Lexus, covered in a fine layer of dust, looking perfectly peaceful. "It appears you parked in my garage without my permission, Brenda," I said, my voice loud enough for everyone to hear. And then I, being on vacation and unaware of this trespass, locked up my property as one does. I believe Bylaw 3A explicitly prohibits trespassing on a neighbor's property, doesn't it? Her face was purple. The neighbors were murmuring. But I wasn't done. I reached into my bag and pulled out my binder. And while we're on the topic of bylaws, I have a few other violations I'd like the board to review. I handed out packets to the assembled neighbors, my neatly compiled photos of her illegal fence, her non-compliant satellite dish, and screenshots of her online legging business, clearly operated from her home. The crowd erupted. It was a mutiny. An emergency board meeting was held that very night. With the entire neighborhood as a witness, Brenda was voted out as president. The new board's first act was to throw out all my pending fines and to grant a permanent variance for my black mailbox. Brenda and her husband moved out 3 months later. Rumor has it the constant stream of violation notices from the new, more reasonable board for the fence, the satellite dish, you name it, became too much for them to bear. As for me, I reinstalled my handsome black mailbox. And sometimes, on a quiet evening, I look at my clean, empty garage and smile. It's amazing what a little peace, quiet, and a 2-week vacation can accomplish. Remember, folks, know your rights, document everything, and never, ever underestimate the power of a well-timed exit.